Hi and welcome to this tutorial on Lavender Field by Tanaka, which is in the ABRSM grade 6. This is part of my series, The Easiest Way to Pass Grade 6. These are basically the pieces which are easiest to learn. This is deceptively difficult in some ways, but the actual note learning is really easy. It should not take you long at all to learn these notes. I want to talk about, though, some of the nuances and subtleties with this. When you bring up the tempo marking, in fact, I'm going to bring up the tempo. No, I can't do the tempo marking because I'm recording. The tempo marking, as I remember, is quite slow. But I sort of, and when I'm playing this, what I want to imagine a lavender field with the wind rippling through. And the wind doesn't just go da, da, da. The wind ripples, and so, you know, it comes and goes. And so what I imagine is something more like, you know, as the wind picks up and then sort of goes away. And there's a flow, there needs to be a flow. And most versions that I've heard on YouTube, there's no flow. It's like 1, 2, 3. It's like, I think that, I mean, you want to know, you want to be aware of the beat, but you don't want to feel the beat. It needs to float. You know, when you're watching the wind rippling through Lavender Field, there is no pulse. Yeah, hopefully you know what I mean. So. And to me, this really sings. It absolutely has to sing. It says espressivo, but it's like... Think Hollywood soundtrack. There's something sort of almost... but it has to sing. In your imagination, you must hear some kind of singing quality to that. Whenever there's a change in pedal, you don't just want to go change pedal and be really harsh and abrupt. So nothing like, that's not it at all. So what I do when I'm pedaling, and by the way, I have recorded this. I've recorded it and put a version up on YouTube with all the Synthesia stuff. I'll put a link above, so do feel free to watch that. But what I do is I overlap the pedal. So when I get here, I change the pedal halfway through the beat, so there's a little bit of blurring. Otherwise, it just doesn't sound very good, in my opinion. And then the same thing pretty much every time there's a pedal change. You never want your pedal change very cleanly right at the beginning of that beat. So we've got, and you want to experiment. You want to experiment with how you move your wrist, how you move your hand, how you move your elbow. So there's a sense of flow and ease to this. And if you just try and move your fingers like this, you're going to have no feeling with it. It needs to flow and ebb. So your wrist needs to move, the elbow, the arm. Experiment with these things. And I do quite a lot of rubato. Now it's really hard to know what to do here. Is this note, D, just like a very quiet in the background, or is it, you have to decide. This is for you to decide. And I think, you know, you could do it either way. If I go from the bar before, now let me make it a little bit more. And I think, you know, I'm not afraid of rubato. I'm not afraid of... the sunlight just comes through. This F sharp, it's a very weird one because the F sharp in bar 10, I want this to be the tail end of the previous phrase. And it's unclear here. Is this the tail end of the previous phrase or is this a new phrase? So tail end would be... That's what I want to do. But also it says piano. I want that to be pianissimo. But I mean, that's the way I prefer it. But I think this is what Karen Tanaka wants. I think she wants something like... to be a new phrase. So play around with that, experiment with that. I mean, you know, I'm really getting into some nuances here. You want to notice that when you get to bar 11, it's gone to mezzo piano, which is like louder than it was at the beginning. It's the same as bar 7, so it climbs up a little bit. When you get to bar 7, it comes back down. Then it climbs back up to where it was again, bar 11. And then when you get to bar 12 and 13, then it goes further. It goes a little bit further. And you want to be aware of that. It's quite hard to be controlled with little bit more, less, little bit more than that, and then less, without making it sound ugly. Like, you don't want to go, if I go from bar 11, you know, that's too much in my opinion. It's got to be subtle. I'm not sure there was a massive difference there. Let me do that again. Yeah, something like that. It's really hard to control. It's very, very difficult to control. So you really want to experiment with, don't just use your fingers to push down notes. Experiment with the arm, with your wrist, with wrist rotations. You want to explore every way you can of making sound and which ones give you the control that you're after. And then it's interesting that in bar 19, the right hand then becomes louder than the left hand, which is the opposite generally of how it's been. Pretty much the whole way through this piece, the right hand, this ostinato thing in the background, it's in the background and you don't listen to it. But suddenly you get to bar 29 and this right hand has become louder. And then it goes off into the background again. And then notice I change the pedal. When I get to the end of bar 22 and I come back to the beginning, I hold the pedal until, I don't know, halfway through the first beat, the second beat, I overlap it. I don't like just suddenly having a gap there. And then you do build up to quite a climax in bar 24. It's a little bit tricky. That is where the note learning is a little bit tough. So you want to get used to how the hands go from the end of bar 23 and see if you can do this without having to look at your hands. And yeah, that builds up to a nice sort of gentle climax. And then, yeah. And what I liked in bar 27, this notion that these are bells, these are gongs. There's a lot of Debussy, I think, in these last few bars. And so if you watch my video, I do something like... which gives a little bit more control, but also has this feeling of bong, bong, with a very, imagine a big gong, and you just go very gentle with something very, very soft, something like very big and soft, and you go so it doesn't go pa, but and obviously a piano can't do that, but you have to imagine it, and that's what these hand motions give you. Oops, too much on that one. And then the right hand is just fingers at that point, which gives you a much more even kind of sound. I think a lot of the challenge of this piece is sort of deciding, what is this lavender field? What's going on in it? Do we want... like the wind picks up. Whoops. So what I'm imagining now, I'm just imagining the wind picking up a bit, falling back, picking up. And what are we feeling? Are we just chilling and just enjoying the ambience? Or is there something a bit more personal? Is there something a bit more heartfelt? So here's the lavender field, and are we really singing from our hearts? Is something really going on here? And I didn't choose to do it that way. For me, this is just a more... it's more like a background melody. It's a background emotion. It's up to you. It's up to you, you know, how much you... This is something very, very personal. Da-dum-dum. Rather than this is just the emotion. This is, for me, a landscape. If I play it like a landscape, the melody is the landscape. Whereas we could make the melody something very personal inside us. It's part of our story. So if I do it that way, and I think I prefer the first way, but you know, it's up to you to decide. So as I mentioned in the video before I did this one, which was In Dreams from Lord of the Rings, or Trinity Grade 6, anytime that you have a slur between two notes, you lean and then you come back. You release the tension. Now, where was it that I saw that? Where was it? Yeah, here. So when we get to bar 12, I'm going to go from bar 11. So just a little bit before bar 11. Now here, it's lean, release. It's like a call. There's a lot of that in Ravel, by the way. So anytime, and I don't think it's that often, but when you've got a slur joining two notes, you lean and release. Is it only that one place, actually, just bar 12 where I noticed that? But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it. The challenge is, do not just play notes. Don't just go... Now that was me just trying to play everything correctly. I was trying to get all the right dynamics, all the right notes, but it's just empty, it's dead. Dare I say it, like most versions I see people put up on YouTube. Not students, so students put really nice ones up. There's like a young girl who plays this in a very flouncy way, and playing is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. But don't play it like that, you know. Feel the wind, feel the wind. Feel this call to you. It's like a siren song. Let your heart breathe and respond to the wind. feel the magic of looking at this field. Anyway, hopefully you get the idea. And that's it. I don't think I can say an awful lot more about that piece. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, if it was useful, do show your appreciation, press like, press subscribe, leave some comments, and see you for the next YouTube tutorial. So bye, thanks very much, bye.